Welcome in, everyone. It is good to be back and doing a live stream. It's been a little bit busy these past several days. I went from one week having all sorts of time, and I had a video almost every day. I think I put out like 7 videos that week, either 7 or 6 videos. And then last week was very busy. This week is proving to be busy too, but I anxiously was awaiting just getting out here to kind of reassess the markets and share with you kind of what I see within the charts. So let's do a little bit of an introduction here. Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Oh, no, wait. Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God. Welcome in. Um, yeah, you can tell this is a live stream, and I haven't done this in a week. So, no, I'm happy to have everyone here. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment, subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon for notifications. But in all truthfulness, I have not had as much time that I would typically spend evaluating the charts. Okay, so I'm not as privy to I wasn't as privy in the past week to some of the price developments that had occurred, but kind of caught myself up on some key charts here. I guess thankfully, market's been pretty boring, right? Pretty stagnant. And typically, crypto is a volatile very volatile area to invest in, as you know. These periods of low dormancy in terms of volatility do not last long. Take it from someone who has been here actively participating in the market since 2018. Okay, these markets don't stay quiet for long. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to get in on the lower time frames. Okay, we're going to take a look at the 12-hour and the daily, kind of talk about what we're seeing there and my honest thoughts. Then we're going to zoom out on all the other key charts that I want to take a look at. We're going to look at things on the weekly and in the case of Bitcoin on the monthly. Kind of want to talk about what I'm seeing there because for most of you, and I kind of got to this point before, I believe on a recent live stream, or actually it might have been a tweet if you're following me at Crypto Bull God on Twitter. Basically, it would serve to benefit you more to understand big picture, what's going on in some of these higher time frame charts on the weekly, on the monthly, maybe as granular as the 3 day in some cases, but mainly the weekly and monthly for many of you because hopefully most of you are truly investors and you're not trying to swing trade the market every few months. Most people will get their asses handed to them doing that. So in my never financial advice, but in my opinion, for the majority of you, most of your portfolio should be allocated to a longer term investment play, in which case you do want to zoom out and look at the higher time frames that we'll be looking at today. Let's see who is joining us so far here. Brian, good to see you. Neffy, what's up? Um, Evan, welcome in. We will take a look. If we have time, we can take a look at XRP. It wasn't one of the main coins I was going to look at, but we can certainly take a look at that. So real quick, so I don't have to interrupt the content as we start to get into the charts one last time. If you appreciate the content, make sure to give a thumbs up, drop me a comment, subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon for notifications. And also you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube, obviously. You can find me on even Instagram and TradingView. One word, Crypto Bull God. So with that being said, let's get into it. We're going to start on the lower time frame here, okay? And kind of what I want to speak to on the lower time frame charts here, which will be the 12-hour and daily. There are some similarities between the discussion points that I'd like to speak to here, but there's also some items that are unique to each chart. So with that being said, let's get into what I'm showing here, and that would be bearish divergence. Okay, so I really tried to illustrate this as best as possible. Basically, what you're seeing here is a high, a higher high, and a higher high, and you're seeing lower highs come in on the RSI. And even here, this high here, coming in here, we still haven't taken out this prior lower high here, right? So really what we need to do is we need to gate. It's a similar premise on an RSI when you're looking at it in this case. It's the same sort of premise on price action. Okay, if you see lower highs coming in, you need, in order to invalidate that formation and resume an upwardly bullish trend, you need to begin to invalidate, negate some of those lower highs. So we really need RSI to come up here and get up above some of these levels, 74 and above on the 12-hour. Here's the main thing I would focus, though, on the 12-hour, and this is very, very important to keep in mind. Guys, you know, if you've been here for a while, I've stressed the importance of the 12-hour chart on Bitcoin. There's a lot of historical significance in the 12-hour chart. Why do I choose the 12-hour chart? Bitcoin has limited price data, right? We're going to take a look at a monthly chart, but even on a monthly chart, we only have 12 years of price data, 10 to 12 years of price data. Okay, so there's not a lot of price data. In other words, if you looked at a stock, right, and you tried to chart it like Ford, or you tried to chart even Amazon, something like Amazon or something like Apple, it has a lot of historical data. In this case, we don't. So the 12-hour, the one important thing that I really want you guys to keep in mind is you're assessing a 12-hour chart. And I would encourage you, for those who can read a chart, keep an eye on the 12-hour. Here's what you want to watch for. There's a basic premise that I have communicated on this channel many times. On the lower time frames, as bullish momentum continues to sustain itself and culminate and fester and build, it's going to increasingly bleed over into the higher time frames, right? Most chartists are concerned with looking at a daily chart or a 3-day or a weekly, right? So in order to get bullish momentum picking up in those charts, we first need to see bullish momentum pick up on these lower time frame charts, okay? One leading indicator to tell you that bullish momentum will sustain itself over into those higher time frame charts, 12-hour chart. And this is what you want to watch for. Now that we've got a major positive development on the 12-hour chart, we've gotten a golden cross, but not only a golden cross I've spoken to, the 200 simple moving average is extending up. Okay, it's moving up. We're not having a situation where the 200 is moving down and we had the 50 cross above it. That would be a false signal for a golden cross. In this case, the 200 flattened out, has begun to increase, and the 50 has already begun to cross up through it. Okay, very positive development. Now that that has happened, okay, this price action here that you're seeing, us chipping and chopping and going underneath the 50 simple moving average, I'm not concerned about that one bit, okay? Price, once it overextends to the upside, needs to come back and have some healthy consolidation. There was a somewhat salty response to me on Twitter today, waiting around for Bitcoin price action. What this person may not understand is that we were sitting at levels around 16,000, okay? And we've basically done a 1.5x up to sustain price action from about 16 up to 22, which is about a 1.5x. We're sustaining price right around 22,000 for now, right? That's a massive increase in price. Okay, many alts have gone up much higher than that, okay? So what we're getting now is some healthy consolidation. So what you want to ask yourself when you're evaluating this chart is what going on, is what is happening within the price a breakdown to the bearish side, okay, to the downside, or is it truly just some consolidation? There's two main things to keep in mind. First, when looking at the 12-hour, you want to look at, I'll try to make this a different color so that it sticks out. We have a low here, we have a high up here. Now we want to make sure we still get a lower high, whether it's here, okay, whether it's in this section here, whether it's higher than this low here. We want this to come in ultimately and stay above this area, but ultimately all the way down here, okay? Ultimately, this would be the level. I know that got a little messy, but the general idea of what I'm trying to say here is you just want to make sure that you're still building higher highs and higher lows, okay? So in theory, okay, in Ethereum, technically we could come up here like this. We could come all the way down in this section, and it would still be a lower high, right, and higher highs, okay? That is still bullish. Even though it might feel miserable, it's still bullish. But the other key thing I want you to watch for is typically if you go back in time and you evaluate when we've seen these golden crosses in this fashion where it's valid on the 12-hour, typically what this has signaled is a mass markup in price to be expected moving forward. And one of the things that these crosses have in common, and this is the key point that I wanted to make, so please make sure to pay particular attention. We're going to hold this 200 simple moving average. Now, price may come down here. It may wick below it. You may get a few candle bodies that are below the 200, but for the most part, we're going to ride it. What you're not going to see, okay, in a healthy, bullish trend reversal to the upside, you're not going to see price come down here, come up here like this. You're not going to see these lower highs and lower lows. That's not That's not healthy. That is not what I'm expecting and not what we want to see. Okay. But if price comes down here and it sort of rides the 200 simple moving average, look, par for the course. We're fine. It's okay. So right now, the 200 simple moving average, and it's continuing to move up based on prior price development in this area, based on how the calculation works, we're sitting at about 20,000, right? So what I'm theorizing is that price could come all the way down to maybe 19,000, come all the way in here, maybe ride this area right around the 200, as low as there, and continue up. I at the moment do not expect anything to be significantly more than that to the downside, although there is a chance we could get lower levels, but that's what I'm watching for, because again, because of the studying that I have done on the 12-hour chart, okay, what it's telling me is there's a very high likelihood, okay, no guarantees in charting, there's a very high likelihood, now that we've had this golden cross on the 12-hour in the fashion that it is, more than likely we're not going any lower than a little bit below the 200 simple moving average. And if that happens, we should be riding around levels close to that 200 simple moving average. Keep an eye on that, okay? Keep an eye on that. Again, I think this is the only channel that talks about the 12-hour view. I do not see any other charts talking about it for whatever reason. Now, this is the daily. You can see the negative divergence here. The thing to keep in mind, guys, the bearish or negative divergence that is playing out here, it's the same exact thing. If we go to a weekly view real quick, okay, and we go back to the RSI, what did I tell you guys? If you were here, this is, again, a weekly view on Bitcoin. What did I say with this RSI? Well, what I said was price was moving down and the RSI was moving up, and there was bullish divergence in the chart. Now, I said it doesn't need to play out, right? But the probabilities were in our favor. We could see a strong bounce to the upside, right? And we'll get into more of this in a little bit, but we did. We got a huge bounce from 15 all the way up to like 24. Okay, and we got rejected at an area I spent many weeks talking about, so no surprise there. But the point is, we pointed out bullish divergence and stated that the most likely, okay, but not guaranteed direction was up. It moved up. In this case, okay, the most likely direction given bearish divergence is down. Okay, so more than likely what this is telling us is we'll see further action to the downside. Now, interestingly enough, on the daily, you can also see we got a golden cross. Same sort of premise. Since we have the golden cross, we really want to maintain price action around the 200 SMA, which is sitting at 19,700. So again, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. Okay, I'm not telling you what's going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit to see the bearish divergence play out, for Bitcoin to maybe dump as low as 19,700 and then continue consolidating and moving up. What would happen? What would happen? A low, okay, two higher lows, and we got a high. We're waiting for another high to come in. So I think that is more based on this view, okay, based on this view, I think it's more probable we'll get some sort of breakdown. Now, there's all sorts of different possibilities. We could fake everyone out, and I've seen views of this on Twitter from some people that I follow, where we've seen this pattern in the past, and then we actually see a break to the upside, and essentially what happens is the bearish divergence is null. Could that happen? Of course it could happen. Locating bearish divergence in a time frame, we can see it on 12-hour, daily, you can see it on the 3-day. Identifying bearish divergence does not guarantee you anything, okay? It doesn't guarantee you. There's nothing in charting that guarantees you anything. What you're doing is you're putting puzzle pieces together. You have a few different data points. They're leading you in this direction, right? Say you have 5 different charts, okay? You see 5 different things on the chart, and they're telling you to go this way, and there's one thing that says, no, I think it's going this way. More than likely, we're going this way. But there was a possibility, 1 out of 6, okay? 1 out of 6, we could go this way, right? So we'll have to see how this plays out. You can see there's a green zone here I had identified as prior support. I didn't want to see break. It looks like we're starting to break down there. But we do have a strong area of resistance. We've bounced, what once was resistance is now support. We have a key area around 21,473, which I've spoken to in the past. We'll have to see how it plays out. Let's take a look at this weekly, okay? Let's get the price indicators out of the way. Look, the MACD is getting above 0, our trigger line, which is great to see. Okay, stochastic RSI, yes, we have a negative cross down where the blue has gone below the orange, but we're at a nice, healthy level here. So that doesn't concern me one bit. RSI, like I said, bullish divergence, did break out there. So what is the name of the game here? Well, this is on the weekly. I've spoken, guys, when we started getting up here, before we got up into the zone, what have I been speaking to on Twitter? What have I been speaking to on YouTube? There's a zone here. Look at all this price confluence. We have two zones of price confluence, meaning these two red lines, these two horizontal red lines, they are areas of price confluence that once represented areas of support. Once you drop below support, it becomes resistance. There's a zone right between 25,000. I like to use nice, round, easy numbers. You're not, if I have the opportunity to clean up a chart before I come on a video, you're not going to see $25,213.33. No, we clean things up. We make it look neat. Okay. You don't have to be that specific with your areas of price confluence. 25,000 and 26,500. Well, look at the other interesting thing going on. There's two key moving averages, the 200 in pink and the 50, which just had a death cross in purple, that are also going to act as resistance, because once you move down below those areas, those moving averages, if you're above it, it acts as support. If you break down below a moving average, you got to get above it, just like an area of resistance. It's going to act as resistance. So what you don't want to see, I'll tell you what you don't want to see on the weekly. You see how the 50 is trending down? We don't want to see the 50 continue trending down and price is punching up and getting rejected, and we're getting rejected and we're falling down. I don't anticipate that happening, but it's certainly a possibility. What we'd like to see, this to me is the most bullish scenario. Okay, watch for this in the coming weeks. Okay, I would say watch for this in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, I'll just throw out roughly 4 to 6 weeks, but really you're going to be looking for it this month. 4 to 6 weeks. Okay. I think the most bullish thing that you would want to see on a weekly chart are two things. One, sooner rather than later, I want to break above this key area. That's number one. I want to break above the 26,500 area with volume, with conviction, okay? I don't want a wick to come up here and close below it. I want candle bodies up here. I want to come right up around, somewhere around, oh, there we go. There's a whole zone here. Let me just mark the zone for you guys. It's around 28, I think, 32. I mean, you stare at these charts long enough, you know the areas of resistance. So it's right around here. I'm not being too cute here and getting perfect, but you can see this zone is right between 29,000 essentially, and we'll call it 32. Okay, so right around 29 to 32, this prior area that we bounced off of. What I would love to see is once we break this 25 to 26.5 area, price begins to enter this area right in here, and we get rejected. And I'll explain why. We get rejected, okay? And we come down here and we consolidate, and then we continue moving up. So why would I want to see, one, a break of resistance at 25 to 26.5? Well, the answer is because that's major price confluence. It would show a lot of strength in price if we can manage to break above it, okay, with volume and conviction, candle body closes. And number two, why would I want to get rejected between 29 to 32,000 and come down here and form a base and then continue moving up? I'd be curious in the comments if anyone knows the answer to the second question. Why would we want to get rejected here, come down to this area, form support, then continue moving up, versus coming up here and just starting to ride up? Why would that be? Any thoughts? The answer, and there's a lag between notification on the chat and when I'm speaking, so I'll see if anyone had given a response. I'm curious. The answer that we would want it to play out that way is because that would be a healthy move up, okay? A healthy bullish move up that will increase our likelihood of reaching levels of 100,000 or 110, 20, 30,000 I've spoken to before. That probability increases if the moves up that we have are sustainable, right? If it's not a parabola, versus if we just start breaking every area of resistance going up, we're going to be entering a parabola too soon. Eventually we will enter a parabola, but we don't want to enter it too soon. If we enter the parabola too soon, there's a higher likelihood we're not going to go as high. Maybe we hit 50,000, 45, 50, 52, 55,000, and then we have a major correction, right? We don't want that. What we want are stair steps up. That bullish structure, as long as you're building stair steps up, that structure is a more sustainable structure for a higher end point, a higher price point, right? I want Bitcoin. I don't want to see Bitcoin shoot up to 50,000 or 55,000, get rejected, and do something I'm not expecting, which is enter, a very long period of consolidation before going up. I don't want to see that, and I don't think you do either. What I'd prefer to see is for that fifth wave to play out. The way that fifth wave plays out within that Elliott wave structure I've spoken to, let's get to some sustainable bullish stair steps to continue building momentum up towards something a lot higher, which is sustainable, right? So that's ultimately what we want to see. This is a quick update on the Williams Alligator and the ADX and DI. Guys, if you actually go back, and I'm not going to for the sake of time, the other thing I noticed on this chart, when we have this bullish cross, if you haven't checked out the video, by the way, I speak to this chart, the Williams Alligator, ADX, and DI. There is a video out. I believe it was the week I had a lot of time to myself, and I was able to do a lot of videos. I think it was something about triggers. There are two charts or two triggers that just fired. It's these two. So this move here, which I did not cover in my video, technically we did have the ADX and we even had the ADX and DI down here cross positive, and we also had the green above the red above the blue on the Williams Alligator, and we didn't get much of a price movement up. You can see once we broke, we rode it from about 42 up to 69, so not that high of a move. But all the other moves that I point to in yellow were substantial moves. The other thing I wanted to point out to you guys real quick, the other thing you'll notice about these crosses is that once you have that cross and you're waiting for some sort of mass appreciation up, price generally doesn't go much below this green line. Now, right now, this green line is at 21,200, right? So this meaning this weekly dot shouldn't close much below 21,200. Maybe it gets to 19,700 or 800 or 600, but it shouldn't go much below there, meaning we shouldn't see some sort of drop off like this, okay? We might come down here and ride it for a bit and then continue up based on history, but we shouldn't see a huge drop down. And yeah, the other thing to note here is we do have this ADX and DI triggering here, okay? It's flashing that we could be on the precipice of a very large move based on historical positive crosses in the past. Green above red, red's below zero, green is above zero. So very good to see there. Now, this is the monthly. I just actually tweeted this chart out. Let's very quickly speak to the monthly and some really positive developments to see here. The MACD is flattening out. Look at the MACD. Once this MACD crosses positive and we see the histogram go to a light green and dark green, and we get a positive trigger here, the blue crosses above the orange, history shows us we get these large rises in prices. Okay, so in reality, and it depends how March performs, but in reality, when could we expect to get some sort of a bullish confirmation on the MACD? Depending how price action plays out, could be around the May timeframe. So we'll just have to, as long as price action sustains itself, we'll have to keep an eye on it. Stochastic RSI, look what's going on with the stochastic RSI. We are at 31 over 21. So we've had a bullish cross and we're above that 20 trigger line, okay? And the RSI levels, I put out some interesting RSI levels I'm looking for. I really want to see the RSI get above around 66, 65 to 66. We're sitting at 45. And I have this orange horizontal line indicated as a region where things typically get very hot at around 92. So once we start getting up to that 90 area, things might be fully exhausting themselves. But that's something further down the road this year that I believe we can have a conversation about. But yeah, this is very healthy to see. I think one of the beautiful things about zooming out on a higher time frame like this is it gives you a more simplistic view of the chart, and it's easier to see areas of price confluence, right? Like I think many of you who can have basic chart knowledge, you can see there's general price confluence like right around there. And there's general price confluence right around there, and right around here, right? So, and again, the thing is when you're drawing these lines as a chartist, you're not trying to be exact. You always want to keep in mind, especially as the volatility of an asset increases and assets are more volatile in nature, it's not about picking a specific price point for areas of price confluence. It's really price zones. But this chart's really easy to read, really easy on the eyes. I mean, you could move these around. Someone could say you could move this here. Maybe someone, I mean, it's subjective, but something like this is very easy to read, really easy on the eyes, as they say. Yeah, and I'm theorizing based on what I've shared with you before that, and it's. Let me get to a comment. So I'm not going to call out the person who it is because that's not my intention. The person is just expressing their viewpoint. They're a little salty, but they're expressing their viewpoint. The general comment. It seems like no matter how many times I repeat this on this channel, people forget this, or aren't mindful about it, or you're not watching the channel. In which case, if you are and you do appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. How many thumbs up I got? How many thumbs up we got going on this channel right now? I don't know. I can't see, but make sure to drop me a comment as well. But what people forget is how quickly price appreciates once price does appreciate. And you know what? Actually, probably the easiest thing to show you. I saw a tweet out the other day. A lot of you guys follow Credible Crypto. I liked this tweet and I liked one of these responses from Norse Digital Assets. Look at what he does here, which is really interesting. I've never taken a look at the charts in this fashion before. I've seen others do this, but you can see what Credible Crypto is pointing out is once we bottom, let me put into layman's terms what he's attempting to communicate here. At our bottoming, that's not going to work. Let me make sure my screen isn't messed up here. All right. At our bottoming candle, okay, once Bitcoin has fully corrected, right? If we draw an arrow up to when we top, arrow up to when we top, and then we look at the angle of that, which is just taking the point from where the arrow is drawn all the way down to the base. How do we draw the arrow? At that point, all the way down to the base, it gives an angle. It looks like it's at about 68 to 67 degrees, okay? So what he did is, assuming that the bottom is in, which I'm definitely in that camp, he drew out something that was right in between, the midpoint, between 67 and 65. Okay, so he drew 66 degrees. 66 degrees out looks like it would put a top sometime in late summer of this year. Now, I know that sounds impossible, right? You may be listening to me and you may think it is a virtual impossibility, but the reality is if you actually look at the price data, no, I'm not a moon boy. Yes, once price is actually done correcting, we rise up sharply in price. Look what happened here. May I remind you, once we bottomed out, okay, I remember this range in here. We were just sort of this range here, okay, between July and September, okay, of 2020. We just were consolidating right around this area at 11,000. Okay, I remember that very well after the beer virus. Look how long it took. Once we had this candle all the way to our top, 6 months. 6 months we went from 11,000 to 64,000. Okay, so in roughly 6 months, we did a 6x in Bitcoin. All coins went ballistic, okay? If we look at our bottoming candle when we bottomed here, okay, once we started to rise up, and I remember 2019, now this was a premature peak. This one was really what we don't want to see this time around. This was sort of a sharp parabola, and that's why we corrected so hard. In 3 months, we went from around $3,500. I remember this very well. We went from $3,500 up to nearly $14,000 in 3 months. People forget. People forget, okay? If you had a similar break, okay? Just having fun for a moment here, okay? If you had a similar break occur this month, which I'm definitely not saying it is, look at where our top would be. It would be in August, right? So a top in August, a top in September, that is not out of the question. It's not out of the question whatsoever. Bitcoin is not going to do this. This is not what I believe Bitcoin is going to do. Because historically it has not done this once we get out and break a new all-time high. We're not going to come up here and then go like this, go like this and come up here and triple top and get rejected, and then get a new all-time high sometime in 2026 or 25. Based on the Elliott wave structure and based on everything that I've been sharing with you guys, is that a possibility? Of course it's a possibility. There's possibilities, endless possibilities, but I don't see that happening. My educated view is that there is going to be a new all-time high this year, sooner than people think, and we're going to see something similar play out as it has in the past, and how sharply and how quickly prices rise. So we'll have to stay patient. A few more charts I just wanted to get into real quick. No new updates on Ethereum BTC. This is just expressing the strength of altcoins. That's really what we're showing here. It's not just Ethereum's strength relative to Bitcoin, because Ethereum's the king altcoin. This is expressing the relative strength of altcoins relative to Bitcoin for the most part. We're just consolidating up here. In my opinion, nothing has changed for me. I'm still waiting to break all-time highs and retest where we're at all-time highs. Ethereum, what I'm trying to show on this chart real quick, rejected, downward resistance, breakout, back test. There's nothing unhealthy here. What's unhealthy? Breakout, back test as support. See the blue arrow? Back test as support. I'm hypothesizing now we're moving up. Okay, so something to watch for in Ethereum. I'm not worried one bit. Same sort of thing with the total entire crypto market cap. You can see price indicators are really starting to pick up. MACD's turning positive. We broke, look, real straightforward, guys. Resistance, 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 break up, back test. Okay, we don't want to come back down here. Okay, we back tested. Now we want to continue moving up towards around 1.4 trillion. Let me get to the comments. I haven't gotten to comments. I only have a few more charts I want to get to here. Let's see what we got. Appreciate everyone who has tuned in. This was sort of last minute. I really didn't have a lot of time to prep much. I just wanted to kind of update everyone on what I'm kind of key charts and just to get a sense where things are at in the market. It's very difficult because things are very boring right now, but that should change. Should change shortly. Let's see what we got. Yes. Neffy, to your point, I certainly view that as a strong possibility that Bitcoin could come down in the $21,000 range, maybe as low, maybe double tap. Okay, maybe we double tap the 21,473 range, although I don't want to continue to come down and tap this region because if we have support here, if we come down and tap it and then tap it and tap it, it gets weaker. It doesn't express strength. So yeah, we could tap that region and then continue up towards what'd you say, 28 to 30? Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. I think that's a very reasonable scenario. Yeah, Evan, good perspective. Even if we did go under 19,000, you're right. It's around a 10% fall. The other thing to keep in mind is that you never want to lose the perspective of asking yourself the question, are we forming higher highs and higher lows? Because even if price isn't moving up as fast as you want, or it's not at levels where you want, or things just seem to be taking forever, remain patient. This is how people get weeded out. Are there still higher highs and higher lows? Now, if Bitcoin starts breaking down towards $14,000, okay, clearly I and many I respect are wrong. The lows we're not in, and that is concerning, right? And that's certainly a possibility. Do I believe that's going to happen? Absolutely not. But it's certainly a possibility. So good perspective, Evan. I really appreciate that comment. You're starving? I'm going to be making, so does anyone have any food suggestions? So I'm going to be making, for Evan here, I'm going to be making, what the hell am I making? Oh, I'm grilling salmon. I'm grilling salmon and then sauteing Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts are the preferred vegetable in this house. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do the Brussels sprouts though. I might do something a little fancy. I don't know. Oh, okay. Neffy asks about how I feel about Doge and Doge BTC since the video was out. You know what? I'll answer that question. I appreciate the question. For everyone new tuning in, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Neffy, I'll take a look. I haven't looked at it, honestly, the past 2 weeks. I've been too busy. So what I will do, I'll get through 3 more charts very quickly. I'm going to answer this question on Doge and Doge BTC. I'm curious myself. Nothing new on Bitcoin dominance, guys. We still have this bear flag / descending triangle. I'm still expecting, you can see what I'm expecting. Clearly, I have a video. If you go to my Twitter profile, you will see pinned to my profile is an entire, I have a video just dedicated speaking to this. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I have a link here. But I am clearly in the minority. I'm in the minority that thinks that this year, Bitcoin dominance is going to have a massive breakdown in value, and we're going to be in the low 20% area. Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. Nothing unexpected on the dollar, okay? Nothing unexpected on the dollar. Let's just focus on price action. If you've been here the past several weeks, what did I speak to on the DXY? I said, yeah, it's not surprising that the dollar found support in the 101 region. Okay, we were oversold on price indicators. We bounced at this like completely obvious area, and we've since come up and we've been in this 105, 106 area. Remember, I said, we're going to get a bounce, and where I would suspect the dollar, go back to my prior videos, where I would suspect the dollar is going to get rejected is right around 105, 106. Why did I say that? Two red areas of price confluence right here, two red areas, and the 50 simple moving average, which is the purple line, right? Even if the head of this candle peaks above here and we're up at like 106, I don't expect price action to sustain above the purple moving average and then ultimately start going up towards 108 and beyond. What I believe is going to happen on the DXY, we're going to get rejected in this range and then just fall back over and retest 101 and then eventually break that. That is my view on the DXY. And again, because asset values, equities, crypto, they have an inverse relationship with the DXY chart. As the DXY decreases in value and expresses weakness, it implies that we should be seeing, not necessarily at the same time, but in some sort of relative time fashion close to that, strength and bullish moves within the equity markets and crypto. Last chart I want to take a look at, if you followed my last comments, the strength of the S&P and the strength of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Very important to consider when looking holistically at the entire market, because it is an entire market. Crypto is not going to divulge and go off in one direction and the stock market's going to go in another, okay? Crypto is a risk-on asset. People are not going to be putting their hard-earned, inflated fiat dollars into crypto if the entire stock market is sucking ass, for lack of a better term. So guys, nothing new to report here. Price action has pretty much done what I expected, right? If you follow my last comments, what did I say? I don't like to see these wicks because it expresses buyer exhaustion, okay? But I do love to see that we beat out this descending resistance here, and we're back above the 21 EMA, okay? 21 EMA, which is on the blue line here, all right? And what did I say? I said, well, once we break descending resistance here, what often happens when we do this? We come back and we back test it as support and continue moving higher. So I said, right around that $3,900 area, there's also price confluence. So we could come down to around 3,900 and continue moving up. So far, we had a strong bounce off 39.28, and we've since remained above the 21 EMA. I see nothing here of concern. What would concern me on the S&P and spell potential further downside in the stock market as well as crypto, okay, because they go hand in hand. If we come back here, we fail, and we re-enter areas close to this 200. This is the 200 simple moving average. If you see prices in the S&P that are around 38, between 37 to 3,800, I would be concerned. Then I would be concerned. So that's what I would keep an eye on the S&P. And somebody had a question on Doge. Who was that? That was Neffy. Doge and Doge BTC. Let's take a look. Was it Doge or... Sorry, Doge or Digibyte? For whatever reason, when I see the ticker symbols or crypto symbols, I always... Fuck. Okay, you said Doge. All right. Doge BTC monthly. I'm sure there's not much that has changed. Yeah, so I wanted to maintain this green area of support right here. It looks like we've broken below it. Although I'm really not overly concerned unless we start breaking this green line down here and we start to get candle body closes below here. So nothing overly surprising here, given some of what's been going on with recent price action. Excuse me. So, and par for the course with many of the other altcoin charts that you'll take a look at. Sorry, I want to just take a look at Doge, USD. Let's take a look at let's take a look at it on the daily. Maybe you're interested in a smaller time frame. So we got our golden cross, and now price action is below the 200 simple moving average. That is not what I want to see, right? So it's not. I'll tell you where this would become concerning for me. There's two things to keep an eye on here. First off, now that we're below the 200 simple moving average, are we going to come up here and get rejected because it'll act as resistance and form another low, and then come up here and form a lower high and then another lower low? Watch for that, okay? Lower highs, lower lows, okay? The other thing I don't want to see, the 50 cross below the 200. So as long as, this is what you want to keep an eye on, as long as price action remains relatively stable around the 200, and we don't get a death cross, or maybe they kiss, but you don't get a true death cross coming down, I'm fine with this. It's a volatile asset. You can't expect an asset to do a 20 or 30x and not have it this, and not expect to have this level of volatility present. That's really one way to think of it. You can't expect an asset to do a 50x or 20x or 30x or whatever you believe is possible, or whatever you have historically seen in some altcoins, and not expect that the volatility is going to be pretty outrageous at times, right? And not what you would typically see on many other low beta, high capital stocks that you would chart. Okay, weekly, again, we're just sort of, man, we are pent up here. So what I would say about Doge, I love this chart because this looks like a pressure cooker, and let's look at the price indicators. Thank you for asking me to reevaluate this one. I really appreciate you calling this one out. Price indicator, stochastic RSI. Now the stochastic RSI not only has a cross negative, but the blue, see the blue value in the lower left there? Or maybe my screen is no, my head isn't blocking the way. Okay. The stochastic RSI right now, the blue value is at 15.6. Okay. We want to see that thing get back above 20. RSI is at a relatively neutral level of 45. I'm sure there's some historical value we want that to get to. But look at the MACD. The MACD was just about to cross positive above 0, and now it's had a negative cross. So we really want this week, we don't want a candlestick to look like this week. This is a hanging man doji. That's a very bearish candlestick. To finish the week, I'd like this body to get green. I'd like some green on here, okay? And maybe we do this chippy choppy bullshit in here, but what you want to see is a breakout from this descending resistance. That's what you want to see. You want to see a break, maybe a back test, or maybe a prior area of price confluence in this region. Maybe we break, come back down, and continue moving up. But break that downward resistance, okay? That's what I see on Digibyte. I appreciate you bringing that up. Well, BTC about the tank, huh? Let's take a look. I don't think so. There really hasn't been much change. I think that's all I wanted to cover for today. Thanks for everybody new tuning in. Thanks for everyone who has returned. I will try to get another video out this week. I think I'll have time for it. I think I'll have time. I'll have to consider if I want to do a live stream or do a recorded TA video. I just haven't had as much time to these past couple weeks putting into doing TA videos, but I will do my best to get another video out. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon for notification. And until next time, spread awareness.